medicine was highly influenced by the Greeks. Greek doctors were paid to move into Rome so that they would have doctors. This started the basics for Roman medicine. These doctors that came to Greece did not need any qualifications or training in order to be successful in the medical field. They knew enough about the topic that they were successful in almost everything they did. The Romans put doctors into their army. The army would travel and the doctors would go with them to operate on soldiers. Having the doctors travel with the army allowed for the idea of Roman medicine to spread. The Romans and Greeks worked together to be successful. They knew the importance of exercise, diet, and hygiene. They knew that the body's health had to be balanced, and when someone was ill, it meant that something had fallen out of balance. They were also able to learn a lot about what was going on inside the body. Erostratus noted the difference between sensory and motor nerves. He knew that nerves were hollow tubes containing fluid. The air that entered at the lungs was carried through the body at the arteries, like the heart. Hippocrates also had a large role in medicine. He taught doctors that they needed to look at the patient's face in order to determine if they were sick. He told the doctors that they needed to ask their patients questions about their health in order to determine their health. The Roman surgical technique was very advanced for their time. At the time, there were not many medications available to reduce pain, and this meant that surgeons had to operate very quickly in order to be successful. The Roman surgical instruments played a crucial part in their operations. The surgical instruments were typically made of bronze, brass, and iron. The Roman surgical instruments included probes, hooks, forceps, needles, and scalpels. The Romans were so advanced that they were able to operate on eyes for what we call cataract surgery. They would use a thin needle that they would push through the eye to break up the cataract. Today in the U.S., nearly 22 million Americans ages 40 and above are affected by cataract disease. The United States has modeled a procedure to remove cataracts after the Romans' way of surgery. This procedure involves more modern technology to create for less pain for the patient. The surgery in the U.S. uses an operating microscope to make a small incision in the surface of the eye near the cornea. An ultrasound probe is then inserted. It uses ultrasonic vibrations to dissolve the clouded lens. The tiny fragmented pieces are then suctioned out through the same ultrasound probe. The way we make a small incision and suction out the broken cataracts are just like the Romans. Today in the United States, plastic surgery is used not only for medical reasons, but also for personal reasons to improve beauty. Plastic surgery was started by the Romans. The Romans would have plastic surgery done to get their earlobes repaired after wearing heavy earrings. Plastic surgery for beauty repair was used on free slaves as well. The freed slaves would have plastic surgery done to minimize the recognition and stigma of having been a slave in the ancient society. The Romans gave us neurosurgery. The Romans performed trepanation to give relief to incurable headaches. To perform this, they would drill a hole into the skull. This procedure was pretty successful. If the patient were to die during any surgical procedure, it was usually death by shock. Although Romans lacked medications, they still had some. The medications they had were more like poisons. These so-called magical medicines were mostly made of herbs. They had some antiseptics. For these antiseptics they used wine, vinegar, pitch, and turpentine. During surgery, the Romans used opium, henbane, and mandrake. Opium was used to limit the patient's movement and kept them still when the surgeon was operating on them. Henbane was used to induce sleep. It was like a slight amnesia. Mandrake lowered the heart rate and deadened pain, making the procedure much less painful for the patient. Also, the Romans started the use of narcotic drugs, though they did not have many resources to use. Narcotics come in handy after a surgical procedure.